Alright, so this video is just going to be a real quick overview of your packet for the giver, just to make sure you understand how to do every single page. So this is just the top of your front page going over what you're expected to do, the snow day policy, which we haven't had any, so that's good. Here's your schedule, and remember we did switch the adjective quiz, and we put that on Monday. We put our discussion from Monday to Tuesday. We put our discussion from Tuesday to Wednesday. So you need to have the book done by Wednesday. The packet is your movie, or is your ticket into the movie on Thursday. So make sure that this is the day that you want to have this done. So in this front page, as you finishing these sections here, you need to grade yourself on the ones that you have not done yet. So make sure as you finish them, you grade yourself on how well you think you did on it. So let's just real quickly go through each page so you know exactly what to do. So page 2 of the packet is your reading check questions, which we do every day at the start of class. So just make sure you have all of those filled in. And I've obviously been starring or putting circles or smiley faces or slashes if you've been getting them wrong or right. You really can't redo these or go back to change any of them. So you kind of get what you get on these ones. So moving on to page 3. This is where you have the one big thing for each section of reading. So all I'm looking for in this box is one sentence about that section of reading. Not one sentence per chapter, just one sentence. So even though this is over 2 chapters, you only have to put one sentence in there. So by the end of the book, these should all be filled in. And this really should say chapter 23 because that's included in there also. Okay, so just make sure you've got all of those filled in with a whole sentence. If you put one word in here, I'm turning you away. I need a whole sentence. So moving on to page 3 of the packet, we did a little activity over the narrator. Is it first person? Is it second person? Is it third person? So all you need to do is read these and fill in. Is it first, second, or third person? And just write that in there. If it's third person, you need to tell me what character we're talking about. Okay, so you can just read those, go back through and just fill in. This should take you maybe 2 minutes. First person, second person, or third person for 1, 2, and 3. And obviously you should know this one because it is from The Giver. Going on to page 5, we talked about how good readers stop while they read to think. So all I want you to do during chapters 4 and 5 is tell me an important part that you stopped at for each chapter. So again, a sentence here, not one word. I need a whole sentence there, and I need the page number. If you leave any of this blank, I'm turning you away. So for chapters 4 and 5, 10, 11, 18, 19, 20, I should see a sentence in here for each one at a place that you stopped. Moving on to pages 6 and 7 are our character attributes for Jonas, and then on the next page for the giver. So right here you should write the attribute down. Jonas is a word we could use, intelligent. And we know that because during chapter 8, and you can look at the page that this was on, the chief elder said exactly that he was intelligent. So you would copy that sentence word for word. And where it says Jonas is near the top of his class, copy the text word for word and give me the page number. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 character attributes for Jonas. For the giver, you should have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. For each one, I need the attribute and the exact sentence from the text that you took that from. So it may not say exactly the giver is nice. You can infer that, though. I definitely believe the giver is kind, because after he gave him the memory of war, he gave him a bunch of nice memories right after that. So you could go back and find that part and use that as a character attribute. So this is a page you're going to have to kind of fill in on your own now that you've read a little bit more. We've talked about characters, and maybe you can list some more characters in here. But we really haven't met a ton more characters than what we wrote down. So here it should just be a list. Jonas, the giver, mother, father, Lily, Gabriel, Asher, Fiona, and then you might add in some of those others. So right here the theme. What do you think the idea is that Lois Lowry, our author, is trying to show us? And it's not going to be a word. It's not just going to be love. Okay? Maybe she's trying to teach us something about love, or courage, or sameness, or utopia. Whatever it is, it should be a sentence. Moving down on the page, what this really wants you to do is kind of sum up the whole story in like 3 or 4 sentences. The events that make up the story. So put them in order, kind of what happens to Jonas, beginning, middle, end. So right here, probably 3 to 4 sentences. What happens during the story. So right here where it says structure, these two are kind of related. Basically, under setup, kind of write down what happened to Jonas to get you ready for the main conflict of the story. What is the main conflict of the story? Think about Jonas. What is Jonas thinking about? That is the main conflict of the story. And then at the end, how is this resolved? How's the book end, pretty much? Okay, setting we've already talked about. It's a community in the future. Okay, and then we've already talked here. It's third person omniscient. Or no, limited, I'm sorry. And it's limited to Jonas. So that's how you complete page 8. Okay, this is one that you should be able to do on your own. We've already done a couple of the boxes, but you should be able to fill in the rest of it on your own. Page 9 was over chapters 7 and 8. So if you did not do this, you're going to have to go back and probably read it again to tell me about Jonas's perspective and Fiona's during the ceremony. This should be most of the way filled up, this summary. And then all these boxes should be full. Then we get to page 10, which is over chapters 14, 15, 16, 17. Remember, we said right here we were going to talk about internal conflict and then give examples and what do we think about that. And down here we're going to talk about external conflict. And we were going to give examples of those from these 4 chapters. Okay, so we talked, remember, about internal conflict. Should Jonas tell the giver about giving the memory to Gabriel? And then what do you think about that? Do you think he will tell him? Why do you think he's having such a tough time deciding this? And then obviously you'd have to go back and give me the chapter and the page number. For external, remember, we talked about how Jonas wants to change the fact that he has to keep the memories. He wants the community to have them. I believe that's in chapter 14. Why does he want the community to have them? That's what you would put here. Or do you think he will try to change that? How do you think he will change that? Any of those things. Okay, so I've given you, again, a couple examples here, but you can finish that page out by yourself. Now the last page here. It's very similar to this page back here. Very similar to the elements of narrative page. But here's what I want you to do. I'm going to cut you some slack. Don't do this page yet. Okay? Just don't do it. You are allowed to leave this page blank. And we will work with this page at another point in time, like after Christmas break. So you can just leave this one blank about theme, the important characters, summarizing the plot, all that stuff. Leave it blank. And then page 11 should just be your notes. So some of the things we have written down so far: release, choose, utopia, and then anything else you want to write. Okay? So that's pretty much it. That's how you complete the packet. It's your ticket into the movie. And if you do a poor job, I will send you out. If it's not complete, I will send you back out and you will miss part of the movie. So please make sure you have this done by Thursday the 18th. And that's it. You should have everything you need to finish.